The fun of playing a social deduction game is the interactions you have with friends or even strangers in real life games like Blood on a Clock Tower, Mafia, Werewolf, and all of their variations make game nights filled with betrayals, intrigue, and memorable moments. Of course, there are the virtual counterparts such as Among Us, Lockdown Protocol, Scamline, Death Note, Killer Within, and countless others. Again, many play sessions generate those key moments of finding out who done it, but there's a dreadful scenario many of us can find ourselves in. What do I do when it's just me? All of these games are contingent on the fact that you have the minimum number of players required. Oftentimes, groups wish to have more people for more roles and more variations. Unfortunately, many reasons can prevent play sessions from even happening in the first place. So what does one do? Fortunately, there are single-player social deduction games like Dupree, a game of solo deduction, and Demon Bluff. Yet, despite how popular these two games are and great in their own right, they are only demos at this time of writing and recording. And for a very important distinction, they are more puzzle-like than the social aspect that you get from the multiplayer social deduction games. So is there no true single-player social deduction game that plays on the interactions with several players in mind? Well, yes. Lend me your attention for a while as I ramble on about Gnosia. Developed by Petit de Pato, hope I said that right, Gnosia was originally released in Japan only for the PlayStation Vita in 2019. A few years later, on March 4th, 2021, an English version was released on the Nintendo Switch for the rest of the world to indulge in. And for Steam, it came on January 23rd, 2022. Now a year later, on December 14th, 2023, it was released on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. It also came to mobile this year, March 15th, 2026. Now, Gnosia itself is a visual novel sci-fi social deduction RPG. It is essentially a single-player werewolf game set in a sci-fi setting with an overarching story and the stories of the characters within the game itself. It starts off jarring. You play yourself, waking up from a medical pod, no memory of what happened to you before you woke up. A person named Setsu greets you, asking questions and explaining the dire situation that everyone on the ship is in. There's a Gnosia on board, and everyone is in a meeting to determine who is the Gnosia, an enemy of humanity. You fumble your way through the day, sending one person into cold sleep. You go back to your room and SQ invites herself into your room. You can't remember who she is and don't even remember the night that you two shared. But she does warn you about Gnosia and how they lie. You awake the next day only to find one of the other people on the ship vanish, erased, eliminated by the Gnosia. You go through the meeting again, but with only 2 people left. Can you trust Setsu, the person who woke you up and attempted to explain the situation? Or do you trust the bubbly, inviting personality of SQ? Whomever you choose, you are given this cube-like object before the day ends. You repeat after Setsu the magic words and everything goes dark. The next time you wake up, you're back in the meeting room. Everyone is here, but only you remember what happened those 2 days ago. Or were those 2 days ago? Somehow you looped back to the first day. And thus begins the twisting spiral of countless meetings, character interactions, and attempting to answer the very important question, who is the Gnosia? Now, if you found that intro to be jarring, bizarre, intriguing, mysterious, interesting, then yeah, good. Those are some of the feelings I say it was trying to invoke. Gnosia sends you on a venture to have these meetings with multiple characters in the game of Werewolf, The wolf role in question is the Gnosia, and everyone else serves as regular humans in the town. Much like in Werewolf, every day you must vote to send one person into cold sleep, exiling them from the game. Each night, the Gnosia assassinates someone, erasing them without a trace. And in werewolf fashion, the humans win if all of the Gnosia are in cold sleep, and the Gnosia win if there's an equal number of humans to Gnosia, or the Gnosia are the majority. Whether you win, lose, be eliminated, or put in the cold sleep, the day resets, putting you back to the beginning of day one. However, different characters will then start appearing each loop. Roles will be introduced that can change the dynamic, providing precious clues or saving someone from death. Sometimes certain characters won't even show up. Some roles won't even exist. You keep going and going and going, learning about these characters you play Werewolf with. You connect with them, learn who they are and why they are here. You uncover the mysteries aboard the ship all of you are stuck on, and with every loop, you're growing as a character and getting closer to discovering how everything started. How Gnosia orchestrates a single-player werewolf game is really intricate. You have a set of stats that you can increase, each of them boosting a certain aspect and playstyle. Do you want to sniff out someone is lying with a report? Increase your insight to have a better chance at catching them in a lie. Do you feel like you're being targeted too much? Increase your stealth and characters won't give you a second thought from time to time. What's neat is that the other 14 characters also follow the same rules. They have their own stats, and each of them operate as a certain werewolf playstyle or personality that you see in other social deduction games. Take Comet, for example. She is a terrible liar and can't fight her way through an argument. However, she's a fierce insight machine and can sniff out liars like a bloodhound. How about Rockio? He's incredibly intelligent and logical. When it's obvious who the enemy is, they'll send it hard their way. Yet, they are too smart for their own good and often draw the ire of others because of being overly too smart and being wrong. As you progress, their stats also increase and they begin to use skills to sway the arguments and redirect attention. You yourself can also learn those skills and use them to your advantage, tipping the scales and successfully getting a Gnosia into cold sleep, or avoid being voted into cold sleep yourself. Each loop provides a new challenge as you figure out roles, decipher the reports, and logic your way to an answer. It feels satisfying when everything falls into place, or you pull out a win by clutching on the last few straws to convince one more person to not vote for you. You will fail a lot in the beginning. Some loots will feel downright lopsided against you or feel impossible to win. But every loop provides experience and knowledge to how best navigate the next meeting. Now, you might be wondering at this time, what's the point of all these werewolf games? Each of the 14 characters in the game are not only your allies and enemies, but they are the key to unlocking the many mysteries of the world. Each character has a set of notes that need to be uncovered before you can reach the end. These notes are special scenes with these characters. Some require you to have a high rapport with them, and some require other characters to be alive for that scene to trigger. Not only do they provide context to the characters themselves, but they hold the answers to the actual story being told. The visual novel style works nicely as you're able to read and understand the motivations of these characters and see how they view each other and the world at large. The sci-fi art style is on full display and every character has a very unique aesthetic only they can have. The harrowing thing you realize is that only you yourself understand what's going on. To them, they're seeing you for the first time, over and over and over and over. The game itself feels amazing to play. As you let yourself be immersed into the story and interact with the characters, you might find yourself being more emotional to them than just a computer AI. The way the developers made each character feel unique from their own backstories and from how they play makes you love or hate certain characters. Sometimes they betray you or lead you on until you realize it at the very last moment that it no longer matters. Other times you rely on their strengths to forge a path to victory. Other times they might seem random, dumb, blind to the logic, and frustrate you as you have to loop due to their own incompetence. That in of itself is the thrill of Gnosia, the interactions you have with these characters, and you sometimes feel like you aren't fighting against zeros and ones, but people, in a sense. The gameplay loop can and will get repetitive because you are, well, looping. The different variations and setups can lessen the feeling of the repeated nature, but it is an aspect of the game. You will feel frustrated when a character stat checks you, or you get backed into a corner because you talk too much or didn't talk enough. You will go through a string of failed loops and missed opportunities because the Gnosia eliminated a character you were attempting to get closer to for that special scene. It can, and it will, take a toll on you as you logically find your way to finding the enemy or eliminating your targets without being caught. Unlike Dupree and Demon Bluff, this isn't just a static puzzle. It's dynamic, with every day and night cycle being important as well as who says what. Each role plays a significant part in the complexity of that particular loop, and brute force is almost never the correct solution. It will take some amount of patience, logic, and sometimes luck to get the win you need and that last note to the end. Gnosia is a fantastic game, and I truly enjoyed my time with it. I can admit that I fumbled my way through at times, but I grew as a player and logical master, and the wins felt rewarding. My losses were brutal at times, but it didn't stop me from learning what went wrong and turning the tables when necessary. If anything, playing Gnosia taught me how to be a better player at social deduction games, and I got a nice visual novel story as well. I truly, highly recommend Gnosia if you're looking to scratch that social game itch, but you don't have a group to play those multiplayer games with, or the scheduling can't make it happen. At the time of writing the script and recording, the game is on sale, so it might be the perfect time to pick it up and play. Also, there's a great anime adaptation of the game that recently finished. That's how I was introduced to the setting and game, by my good friend JD. We did a review of the entire show, and I promised to do a playthrough of the game afterwards, and here we are. Lastly, as of writing and recording, there is a live playing theater of Gnosia announced, so there's even more Gnosia content out there. And finally, if you made it this far to the end, thank you for watching or listening. A special shout out to everyone who followed along in my Gnosia playthrough. Hey, how you doing? I appreciate every single one of you and encourage all of you to drop anything about the game you wish to share to others in the comments below. Try to convince them to play the game or share some fun facts. Doesn't matter, go wild. Subscribe to the channel if you like anime, video games, and conventions. I'm slowly getting things out, and if there's another game you want me to play and cover and do a little review on, leave a comment, let me know, and I'll see if I can make it happen. With all that said, hope all of you have a good day, night, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. And I hope your day is just a little bit better than it already is. With that, I will catch you guys in the next loop. Peace.